Just a reminder, we do meet every fourth Monday of the month. Was going to talk to you about the November meeting if you all did want to meet, but as of right now, I don't have us meeting because that's like the Monday after Thanksgiving break. December or February, we're not going to meet. We do have our Google shared drive with all our meeting recordings, and you do get ELA credit for today. And we are a network focused on learning updates and resources available, and our goal is to help provide our students with a variety of learning experience. Our agenda today is our welcome and sign in. We are so glad to have Jennifer Wilson with us today from WKU. She's the program director of the TIP Kentucky, which I know a lot of us are anxious to hear more about. And she's just going to share. Please make sure you ask questions. If you have any questions about the program, that you do ask her. And we're just so glad to have you today. I've got us a nice little path here for you, Jennifer. You're going to take us down a path here and have it teach us all about TIP Kentucky and let us know what we need to do. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours.
All right. Good morning. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Wave at me if I'm not loud enough.
I know you're good.
I do want to tell you that I appreciate your inviting us again to share about TIP Kentucky. You are not far behind the curve. It's a relatively new program, and I'm going to see if I can get this little, move my little people window. Sorry about that. A lot of you may be aware of this. I'm just going to brush over real quick. I keep it in there for other presentations. You may be aware that Dr. Jillian Stanley started talent identification programs way back in the 60s. And this map here is more or less the pre-pandemic. And pretty much the entire United States had representation. All the states had representation to work with the talent identification program. Today, it's a little bit different. Unfortunately, the previous map that had the mountain region as well as Duke Tip during the pandemic closed, so leaving a huge chunk of the United States affected by lack of a talent identification program. So many of you may know Dr. Julia Roberts, the executive director for our center, and she has been the executive director for over 4 decades. So she's got just incredible experience and knowledge, and she went ahead and jumped on this immediately, knowing that there would be a lack in the state of Kentucky as well as surrounding states, but there are a lot of people that are working. She started working with the Bell and Blank Center, which she has some dear friends and colleagues to work with their above level testing. And there's also a consortium of centers across the United States that we meet with. It's kind of a loose consortium, but we meet regularly to discuss what's going on in the different areas of the country. So currently, and actually this is even outdated because I've just learned of a couple more states that have programs they've developed, but we are working with the Bell and Blank Center, which is this little loose, the state of Iowa there. But we also are working with other states to help with the void in some of the areas. We work with Tennessee a little bit. We've got people testing from other areas as well. So you might be asking if you're new. I know a lot of you, this is old hat. Some of you that might be new, or this is a new program for you. What exactly is the talent identification program? You hear that a lot in different things such as sports or music or art. So it's not like we've captivated and have control of that term. A lot of people use it for different things. But for the Center for Gifted Studies and for our purposes, our main goal for TIP Kentucky is identifying and supporting academic talent within the school systems. And there's three different components that are primarily make up TIP Kentucky at this point in time. And we still have visions and dreams of expanding and growing certain areas. However, right now, the big void was the above level testing, which I'm going to tell you a little bit more about. So you're familiar, depending on which grade level I'm assuming today we've got all grade levels here. Is that a fair assumption? The K through 12? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So we have the above level testing was the big void that Duke TIP pulled out. Programming is something that we've been doing for over 40 years, and I'm certain you have lots of programming in your regions of the state as well. But I can share a little bit more about our programming at the end if we have time. And of course, there is a recognition component that we used to partner with Duke TIP, and we used to have it here on campus for numerous years. So we just started that up again this past fall. I will share that we're probably going to move it to the spring because as it grows, we have, as you can imagine, with a university campus, we have limitations with where we can hold large programs. So it's probably going to work better for us in the spring. Let's see if I can flip here. Oh, and we have, when you're talking with families, I'm going to try to share a little video with you right now, but there are a couple of videos and we're getting ready to do another video. They're animated, and they're just like 2 minutes, but you can go to our website. And if you're working with schools and families and have like a time where you're trying to educate families on this, you can even give them the link to these videos that talks about above level testing and what it is. So I'm going to try to share. Oh, it moved up here. We're going to try to share this video for you and see. Let's give it a try and hopefully hear the sound. Okay, here we go.
The Talent Identification Program of Kentucky provides above-level assessments for high-ability learners. Students in 7th or 8th grade take the ACT, which is designed for high school juniors and seniors. 4th through 6th graders take an assessment designed for 8th grade students. So, you may be asking, why would a student take an above-level test? Precise and accurate assessments of what students currently know are needed to ensure that high-ability students are being challenged in school. To better understand, let's take a look at 3 high-achieving students, Alexis, Henry, and Sophia. These 3 perform very well on grade-level assessments at their school. But for students like Alexis, Henry, and Sophia, how do we measure what they know beyond their grade level? This is where above-level testing can be useful. As shown on the charts, grade-level testing will not illustrate much variation in these students' academic abilities. However, an above-level test can reveal huge differences in the student's academic achievement. The results here show Alexis has high scores in math, Henry excels in science, and Sophia performs high in verbal. While each student does exceptionally well at grade level in all subjects, they clearly need additional challenges in targeted subject areas beyond their grade. Knowing this information allows educators and parents to build a more effective learning plan for each student. By gaining additional information about each child's performance through above-level testing, we can understand and advocate for their needs and make sure they are being appropriately challenged. For more information, contact the Center for Gifted Studies at WKU.
Go back to my here we go. So that just gives you a little bit of a snippet. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but don't see your PowerPoint.
Oh,
Unless it's, is it got a
this
lot
is
of
it.
different? Okay, this is it. Okay.
You see a graph?
Nope. I see New York and fall foliage, New England,
Let
Italy.
me try this again. Okay. Can you see it? No.
Nope.
Hang on. I was getting in trouble when I had to stop the other share, I believe.
Okay.
There we go.
Did you find your PowerPoint? Do you see it?
Well, it's not coming up on my. Sorry, one moment. Little technical
You're fine.
difficulty here.
Understand.
I'm not seeing my PowerPoint now. Let's see. I mean, it's down here. It's showing a number 2.
It's showing, so it is on the number 2 screen?
Oh. Let me. It's showing. Okay. No.
It's showing maybe if you minimize that, there's the graph. Found it. It's there.
Oh, is it there?
Yeah, it's there now. There's the graph.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Really neat. You would think after 3 years of pandemic, I would have this down. But in essence, what that video is showing, when you're working with your gifted and talented, and of course, we're talking a little bit more broad range than just the state of Kentucky statute. We are looking at the top 10%. So if you have students that are in that top 10% that are scoring very high on at least one subject area, when you give them the above level tests, as it's showing in the graph on chart B, you have a whole different range. So you could have a lot of kids in 6th grade, for example, that are all testing 95th percentile, but how high, you don't know what their ceiling is necessarily unless you give them an above level test to better understand exactly where they should be challenged. So that's kind of in essence what the above level testing is. And these are the benefits, of course. It breaks it down by subject area because in both the younger testing group as well as the older kids, you're looking at math, science, English, and reading individually, as well as, of course, there's a composite with the ACT, but we're more interested in the drill down. And it really helps the educators and the families better understand, as I had said, where are they? I mean, you could have 2 kids scoring in the 99th percentile in math, and one would be ready for 8th grade level math, and the other maybe is ready for just the next year above them. So it's real meaningful to break it down that way. And as the video had shared, we have 2 different tests. The iExcel is the test that we work with the Bell and Blank Center out of Iowa, and it's actually administered at the school. We do offer some minimal testing dates on campus for kids who couldn't make their test date. However, for Eastern Kentucky, that's not real practical for your families. So it makes more sense if they can do it at the school. The nice thing for the younger grades at the school is they're in their comfort zone. So they're already going to be a little bit nervous about taking this strange above level test. So this is a nice opportunity for them to take it in their home setting or somewhere nearby. Coordinators at the school can decide where they test. If you have a testing center in your county, for example, or maybe the board office that has a nice online opportunity, like it does require laptops or computers to take the test. So it would need to be somewhere where they can use technology. And of course, the ACT is a little different because it's a 2-fold process. I like to emphasize that because often when you share with the families that, congratulations, you're eligible to take this above level test and give them a little insight about that, they think they're done when they register with TIP Kentucky, even though we send them information with the voucher code and the reporting code. I often get emails back from the family saying, okay, I'm ready for the test. And they haven't gone to register with ACT. So they register with us and then they register with the ACT. This is just a sample of when you get the reports back, particularly with the iExcel, and the families get the reports back with ACT. I feel like they're very comprehensive. And your student will get, as you see the little shapes, the triangle, diamond, and the circle, they'll get based on their test scores, and it shows a comparative analysis. Let's take the sixth grader, for example, again. The sixth grader will see comparative results of scores compared to bright sixth graders, and they'll also see compared to the average eighth grade, which is what the test is actually designed for. So they get a better idea of where they're at. And it may show that they're academically talented in math, but they may be very highly academically talented in science or reading. So it gives them a visual, and then it jumps over to some of the options for what they can do at that particular level. And I just like to share this because there's so many opportunities to help challenge students. I think often people think the only thing you're doing this for is to see if they can grade skip. And of course, we all know that's not necessarily the end game. Yes, there are people that maybe that is an option for, but there's all sorts of other points of acceleration and enrichment and programs to help challenge students that are not always at the school. I think often as educators too, you always feel like it's always on you. And there's a whole bunch of opportunities to help challenge kids within the school as well as outside of the school. The IXL score interpretations I kind of touched on, but both the ACT and IXL offer the split by subject areas. They kind of lump the reading and English together, as you noted on that optional chart that I showed earlier. But it's a wonderful opportunity for resources that are recommended. And we're not giving specifics. Sometimes I think families think, oh, we're going to tell them their exact plan that they need to have. And that's kind of up to them. And of course, I'm sure as educators, you all offer suggestions and recommendations on how to continue to challenge their children. And then occasionally you've got a kid that, wow, they're just off the chart, and you really need a team of people to look at their talents and what they need to be doing. If they're 4 and 5 years above their grade level, that is definitely more challenging. But there are opportunities, and this just is one point of information to put in their portfolio. Same with the ACT. I will share that the ACT is a little bit different because it's more independent. When they're in 7th and 8th grade and they take the ACT, it's you identify the families or the student, but it's really on them to take the lead and to do it. And I realize sometimes that's a challenge because if they're taking it home, we have had some teachers who help the students, and that's more or less on a case-by-case situation that you know best how to handle that. And we're just getting started. We have had more than 1,800 students who participated in grades 4 through 8, more than 100 schools, and of course, over 60 school districts in Kentucky and some of the surrounding states that don't yet offer a talent identification program. We've just had our inaugural reception, recognition ceremony rather, and it was a wonderful opportunity. It was at the Van Meter on campus. We sent out emails, and the families came from all over the state and outside of the state to be recognized. And these are just some pictures. It was really a great day. And I've probably run over a little bit. Am I okay to go into some of the programming?
You are perfectly fine. You go right ahead.
Before I do that, does anyone have some questions? I should look at the chat box.
There's no questions in the chat, but I do have a couple of questions. When would they need to take the ACT? Is it still like December and February like it was with Duke Tip, or like?
That is an excellent question. It's actually a rolling system. And I've had parents that have said, because with Duke Tip, I believe it was a February test date and they did it for all 7th graders at the school or something like that. We do not have a cutoff. I will say this, we are looking, and not every student that takes the test comes to the recognition ceremony. There are qualifying factors for the grades for both ACT as well as IXL. IXL this year was a 95 percentile cutoff. So there are about 200 that were invited from over 1,400 that took the test. ACT's margin was a little bit higher, but we went by the standards for ACT scores. But getting back to your question, actually, that will probably be in the spring. So if there's families that are interested and think their kid might qualify, and that's that's important to them, they certainly don't have to worry about that. But I would take the test by February just to be sure. The test dates, we have one coming up in December, and the registration is like November 3rd for regular fee. And then there's a late fee they tack on if you register late. I realize that's just a week away, so it would be really hard to get that information out to families. But the next test date is February 10th, and the registration is January 5th. So that might be a good date to shoot for, to invite the students who are eligible. And it's, again, the top 10% rather than the top 4%. So students that are, and it doesn't have to be every subject area. It could be this kid scored 92% on the grade level assessment in math or science or reading. So it doesn't have to be across the board. And it's completely up to the families to decide if they want to do it or not. I will say that in-school testing is very easy. It's a very easy process. We have a registration online that teachers can go to if you want to register to take the test. And then it asks the teacher or the coordinator that's going to do the test questions. You need to know who your proctor is going to be for the test. And I've done it numerous times now. It's incredibly simple. There's also a technical person at University of Iowa that is there to help if you were to have questions. And families can pay for the test, or the school can pay for the test, just depending on how you want to do that. And there is a discounted rate for students who are free and reduced lunch.
And so that information is on your website to where they could find that on, okay.
I could put that in the chat box.
Does anybody else have any questions for Jennifer about this? Is there like a template letter that you already have made up for them to be able to share out?
If you go to wku.edu/gifted, and there is a section for a page on TIP Kentucky, and it's broken down into 4th through 6th grade and 7th and 8th. On the 7th and 8th grade page, there is a teacher toolkit that lines out the process, how to go about. It's even got a sample letter in there, and you can use that sample letter for the younger kids too. I need to get a teacher toolkit on the younger kids page, but if you go to the older kids page, it kind of gives you an idea of the process. It's a little bit different for the younger ones, but it's pretty simple once you get into it. But certainly email me if you have questions about it. I can walk through the process with you. Sometimes you have to start it, and then you get the question, and you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's really easy once you do it one time.
I dropped the link in the chat to the website. You're welcome. Yeah.
We have a lot of programming, and I realize it's not practical for the eastern side of the state to do a lot of daytime programs. For example, we have Super Saturdays going on right now, which is 3 weekends in the fall and 3 weekends in the spring or winter month in February. But we have seminars, for example, if you or family, often the BERTA seminar could be on the topic of social emotional needs, or something related to high ability students. And that is a free workshop, and it's for both families as well as educators. That happens in the fall, typically, and we have a large idea festival, which is a day program. For the eastern side of the state, you might have to do what some of our other schools do, and it would probably have to be an overnight situation, depending on how many hours away you are, because it does start earlier in the morning. We have professionals experts in their field come in and do little sessions in the morning to help the kids learn a little bit more and explore different areas. It could be an astronaut. It could be a famous ballerina. It could just people that are famous in whatever their field is. And they'll talk about how they got there and the people that inspired them. It's just really a meaningful morning. And then in the afternoon component, often it's very hands-on, minds-on. So the students are in our student union and they're doing all sorts of cool activities with different faculty and teachers and people that are there to offer different opportunities, such as 3D printing. We've done some coding and some cool stuff technology-wise. They've done some cool things with art and just a whole wide range. One of our biology professors brings his bugs in and they talk about bugs, which is always a hit. But there's a lot of really neat opportunities at the Idea Fest, but that's normally in February. And that would be a big undertaking. A lot of schools bus in kids for the day, and you are more than welcome to do that. I do realize there's more of a challenge for your group. And we have a learning service. I think the deadline just closed for it recently, but we have grants. Doctors Modi and Modi from Glasgow created this Make a Difference service learning opportunity. And that's something people in Eastern Kentucky could easily do because you don't have to come here. It's an opportunity where if you have a service learning project at your school and you need some funds for it, we have a $1,500, $1,000, and a $500 competition for anyone in the state of Kentucky. So you can apply and they will fund it if you are awarded one of those scholarships. There's also some micro or mini grants for students who've been at our SCATS, VAMPI, or Gatton Academy, and they can apply to do some $500 grant opportunities. And then, of course, we have our camps, which are a wonderful opportunity. And we've often gotten students from the eastern side of the state because it is a residential camp. The SCATS is a 2-week program for those who've completed 6th through 8th grade. The big difference between SCATS and VAMPI is the students are a little bit older and it's 3 weeks and it's one particular subject area that you focus on. SCATS, they can choose up to 4. So they have 4 different classes in a day. And it's, again, very minds-on, hands-on activities. It's a wonderful opportunity for students to kind of explore maybe something they've never had at school that they might be interested in down the road. So I can't say enough good things about the SCATS and VAMPI. Again, if you're interested, we have little video snippets. I'm thinking of SCATS in particular, but I believe both the SCATS webpage as well as VAMPI have little segments with the students talking about the camp and what their experiences are and what a great opportunity it was for them. The Gatton Academy is not necessarily a center program, but we are very much involved with the Gatton Academy. In fact, a lot of the Gatton Academy students are counselors or former Gatton Academy, they're counselors at our camps in the summer. So I know we've had a lot of representation from Eastern Kentucky. Just to squash any myths, Gatton Academy is for students throughout the entire state of Kentucky. I think sometimes people think, oh, it's only for the Western students, and it's not at all. It's for every student that's eligible, that's interested in math and science, computer science. It's a STEM high school. That's why they call it the Gatton Academy of Mathematics and Science. It's a great opportunity. They go to high school for 2 years. They apply when they're sophomores. And representatives that come to your schools. So hopefully you've had some. If you have not had a GAT representative come talk at your school, please reach out, because they are more than welcome. They're more than happy to come over to the eastern side of the state and talk to you about the GAT Academy. And we have a travel abroad program. We didn't do a program this fall, but we're planning on having a group go in the spring to England. So there's more information on our website about that. So if you have any questions that come up that you didn't think about, if you're like me, you like to process, think a little bit on it. How is this going to apply to my school? What would you recommend timing wise? I will say this. I would recommend, if you're looking at informing students at your school who are eligible, just kind of giving them a little bit of some dates and time. It seems like if you don't give people dates and you just throw it out there, then they're less likely to act on it. Of course, if you're doing the testing at your school, you have to give them a deadline. And you all probably know this better than I do, but that's the one thing I have found with our grant program and different things that we've worked on. If we don't give them a deadline that's relatively short, then they just, kind of push it off. Are there any questions? I sure appreciate your time, and I went over a little bit. But I want to be mindful and respectful of your schedule, Mary.
Oh, you did perfect. You did absolutely awesome. Everything you said we wanted to hear. So I was going to say, if you needed an hour, I'll give you an hour for this, because I think it's a good program. And for everybody to be aware of, and where it is relatively new, making sure that they know where the resources are and that you are available to be contacted for any questions that they would have. So time well spent, in my opinion.
Well, I sure appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, that's my email. I'm pretty quick to respond. If I don't respond within a day or two, shoot me another email. It may have gotten lost in the shuffle, but
you will send me.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, you'll send me a link to your PowerPoint so that I can drop it in the folder for everybody so that they can have a copy of it to go back and look for information.
I certainly can.
Okay, if you'll just email that to me, that'll work.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's our goal, is to get more people in Eastern Kentucky represented and get them exposed. Is there anything else? Has anybody got any questions for Jennifer? It's a great opportunity to ask her while we've got her here. Feel free to unmute or type in the chat. But is somebody going to unmute and ask a question? I thought I heard. There's something in the chat. Just a second. How do you promote Gatton or the other programs in your district? Jennifer?
I think it's been, well, how should you as a school system, or how do we do it?
How can they promote it?
I know a lot of schools promote. It might be that you need to get information from, and I'm not sure who your source is for the grades, for the grade level assessments. Perhaps it would be the KSA scores or some other mechanism of standardized testing, but you might want to reach out individually. And I'm not certain if you have regular parent meetings. Some folks do it on a web page with their school web. But often families are unaware of that. So I personally think you can't over communicate too much. And we're starting to go to more and more parent sessions. Even in our own county, they just recently started having a parent group. And last year they had like 500 people show up. So it was huge. Now, granted, we have a lot of schools in the Warren County School District, but I think you'd be surprised maybe at the interest level you might have. If you had a parent night, a lot of parents don't know what it means if their child has been identified as gifted. But certainly through email, you could communicate. And in terms of Gatton Academy, I would reach out to the Gatton Academy about some ideas, because there's some creative things you can do working with, say, the math and science departments. It's never too early to start communicating at middle school age, because kids have to be on a certain track math-wise to be eligible to get into the Gatton Academy. For example, you need to have at least Algebra 2. So if students are not on that track, they need to be informed about that. Some school systems have different setups where maybe you could take 2 math classes in a year. Others don't. So that's just something that I know there's been a lot of discussion at the state level about math and options for math. But if you're a math type individual, you love math, or math is your thing, then you definitely want to be on the right track to be able to be eligible to get into the Gatton Academy. So there might be some communication with the teachers in the schools in those areas. And sometimes it's just educating people. I can't even tell you how many people I've run into, and not just Eastern Kentucky, but all over the state, that still don't know what the Gatton Academy is and what it offers. It's literally they're living on a university campus and getting 2 years of college credit for free. Well, I say for free, it's paid for by the state of Kentucky. So it's an incredible opportunity, not only to further challenge students, but they have research opportunities, they have study abroad opportunities, and there's a lot of merit to being in a culture with like-minded individuals. My own son went to Gatton Academy, and the opportunities that it gave him were just phenomenal. I think that for students that are seeking that additional challenge and want to take more math and science at an earlier age, that are capable of doing that, really see the opportunities of where they can go. So that's kind of roundabout. Any way you can get the information out there.
Yeah, I like the idea of the parent night, because kind of letting the parents know about it so that they are well aware that it is a residency at WKU, which craft is also available, isn't it, for Moorhead, which is kind of, they're very similar programs, aren't they? In that they kind of used Gatton as a model to create the craft, didn't they?
They did. They're a little bit different, and I can't really get into the idiosyncrasies of the differences, but I do know that they're both residential programs on college campuses. And definitely, I can't really speak for craft, but I know that at the Gatton, they have a lot of research opportunities and study abroad, and they may at craft as well. And often, I think they have both. If you had a parent night, for example, sometimes they'll invite both the Gatton Academy and the craft, because craft obviously is very close to you, but there are some differences. So I would just encourage families to do research on both to see what is good for their comfort level.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think that would be great to have a parent night. I think that's a really good suggestion, because of sometimes when they get into it, they may not realize that it is a residential thing. And I know that sometimes that stops some people in their tracks with it. So to be just fully aware when they apply what they're signing up for. Yeah. I think that's great. Wonderful information, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here. Does anybody else have any questions for Jennifer before we let her be able to go? You've got her email. She'll send me the PowerPoint so you can go back and look through that. And then you've got the website. Is there anything else? What? I have a
One thing
question.
I do want to mention as well that I have some handouts. If you email me about something specific, I can send you a PDF of TIP Kentucky. I'm sure the GAT Academy probably has some handouts too. I could get from Carrie Lynn. Just any of our programming. I'm happy to send you a PDF so you can forward it on to parents digitally if you want to.
Okay. If the group is interested, that might be something that we invite them to come and join us online to share too. Maybe have a Gatton representative from you all to come online with us and just kind of share about the program. And we may do it for craft too, because like you said, there are differences, but just being aware of both of them, we could maybe
That's
do
an
that.
excellent idea. I know Carrie Lynn would be more than happy. I can
Okay.
give you her name and put it in the chat here.
Okay. And I can maybe reach out to her and I can talk with our group to see when they would like to, because the applications are usually due in February, right?
Yes, you are
Okay.
correct about that.
Alrighty, that'd be great. But I could maybe reach out to her about meeting Summers, Carrie Lynn. Okay.
But it's actually Carrie.Summers. I'm trying to send you
okay.
She goes by Carrie Lynn.
Okay. There it is.
She's the main assistant director of recruitment, or I'm not sure what her exact title is, but she would be your person.
Yep.
And if you've got families that are interested, we have days where people come on a Saturday and visit, tour the facility and talk with students. Again, even 8th grade, 9th grade is not too young for students to do that, because that 10th grade year is when they apply. So I think middle school, even if students are interested and have a real high desire for math, science, that I would have them get them over here to see the place, because it's really a beautiful, actually my office is in the building and it's incredibly safe. That's a big question mark parents always have. I have to use my card key just to go into the side of the building that's the Gatton Academy side. And there's a special card key to get in their building as well as to get on their floor where they live. So it's literally the safest building on campus, because they realize and recognize these are not only college students, but these are high school students. And they're more in their own, they go to class with college students, but they live in a high school setting, like a residential high school setting. So they're not running willy-nilly on campus in other residence halls and things like that. They're here on campus in their hall.
Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'll reach out to her. I'll talk to our group and see about when would be a good time for us to schedule her, and maybe a representative from, like we said, craft too, so that they can hear both. And then, because it's good to have them know both options. But
They
thank you so much.
do the high school in the fall, and often we'll do middle school tours in the spring, because they're trying to obviously get the high schoolers prepared, particularly the sophomores, because they have a lot of questions or a little more serious about looking at it at the high school level. So that's kind of how they do it. But certainly they would talk to your group in a heartbeat. It's actually a great idea.
Yeah, because a lot of the kids who would be applying would be connected to the people in this cadre in this meeting. So
Mhm.
identified in some area of giftedness. So yeah, that sounds like a good plan. We will do that. Does anybody have anything else for Jennifer? And we have taken more of your time than you had allotted for us too, but we
Oh,
sure
that's fine.
appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jennifer, and I'll be in touch if we have any other questions, but I'll definitely reach out to Carrie Lynn Summers and get her on a schedule with us too.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Oh, can't hear you, Kim. That's okay. We did record it, so you can go back and listen to Jennifer's presentation with the Tip Kentucky, which I know you probably are very familiar with that from the Duke Tip, but it is just a little bit different. But we're glad you made it. So glad you're here. I will go ahead and let's see, share my screen. Oh no, can you all see my screen? See. Yes, you can see my screen. So was really glad to have her. I do want to talk to you all a little bit toward the end, but let's go on through the slides because I do want you all to be able to share. But we do want to do a check-in with you all. I went with the jack-o'-lantern. How are you feeling today? So if you don't care to drop in there, you can see the different jack-o'-lanterns and say how you're you feeling today. I hope it's not like number 8 or number 9 with this one. But if you don't care to drop in and just say how are you doing after we've got to hear from Jennifer Wilson with on a 4. Oh, kind of like, oh, I like that one. Good too. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. I'm probably more in the 2 range too. 5, yeah, a little sleepy. It is Monday, but 6 always. You're so funny, Jerica. What a hoot. Oh, I love it. But always good to do just a little check-in with our students. A one. Oh, Christy, you're funny. Oh my. But that was a little sneaky. But just always nice to do a little check-in with our kids. And they've got all kinds of them online. And so I went with the jack-o'-lantern where we are near Halloween. So feel free to take and utilize that one. I usually just do a Google search and find it and just kind of note where I got it from. But just a neat little thing to check in on our students. So if they are really like, if they say an 8, I probably would be checking on the kid. Let me just be honest, or a 9. Be wanting to check and see how they're doing. But do want to mention a couple of nominations that are out there. I had what she was talking about with the scholarship thing on our Padlet, which a lot of you probably already knew it through different venues that you're getting information. I did just remove that yesterday or Friday. I can't remember because it was due in October earlier. But I do try to keep those on the Padlet if at all possible. But this one is on the Padlet. This is the U.S. Presidential Scholars Program. There is no scholarship. Just know that up front. It is a recognition. The kids, if they get selected, they can get to go to Washington, D.C. My daughter got this during the COVID year, and she did not get the DC trip, but it has been a wonderful connection for her. She has people from all over the United States that she now connects with. They do game nights online, so it's just a nice little group that they do connect with each other, but it's really a recognition thing. It is not a scholarship and that they're going to get money for it. The other thing is this Kentucky Association of Gifted Education, the Gage Distinguished Student Award. If you have some kids, be sure to nominate them. It is open now until November 1st, so you don't have a whole lot of time with that, but just making sure that you're aware if you want to recognize some students 5 through 8 that you just feel deserves that recognition, be sure to be nominating some of these kids for this because we want our Eastern Kentucky kids recognized too. Another student opportunity, I know a lot of you are probably aware, I've had this on the Padlet as well. But it was also in that news. You can use email just so that you're aware. Those young women lead conferences. The closest one to us is University of Kentucky. That is October 25th. That is available. So you might want to check if that would be something you could do with some of your young ladies in your district. University of Louisville has November 1st, and that's with Julie Carrier, which is coach for young women in the world, #1 coach for women in the world that they have. So just wanting to make sure you are aware of these particular opportunities. I also want to make sure, I don't have it on here, but it is on the Padlet. February 24th is the engineering day at UK that they have. That's a great experience, especially for a lot of our math science kids, for them to be able to go. So February 24th, it's on the Padlet, and I'll share that with you. Kim, this is the GT Coordinator Toolbook that you emailed, and so I've got a slide on it. Kim sent this to me when I sent the email out on Friday. Looks like a really good resource. And then what else did you pull from that? That it's available if you have the Riverside Insight. So if you use any of their assessments, you have access to certain data, right? Is that what you were? Yeah. Is there anything you want to say? Can you unmute?
I really didn't get down to the nuts and bolts of it. I sort of skimmed it, but it looked like it's a real good resource. And I say a lot of people use Riverside Insights if they use the COGAT assessment, because that's where it comes from. And it had like 8 different, I think 7 or 8 different like pods or something. I can't remember what they were called, but when you get on there and look at it, you can see what I'm talking about. But you get a lot of information from them tests from doing the COGAT that we really don't use. My district doesn't use it at all.
Do they
I
not?
use it, and I did take the results and shared it with the assistant superintendent, because I've been giving this test now for about 5 years, and there is a decline in the students' progress on it. Every year it gets lower and lower and lower. The kids are like their critical thinking is in decline. And I think every school district needs to look at those results and reevaluate their teaching. This year, one of the things I'm going to do different is on Teachers Pay Teachers. I got a sample of the COGAT test, the items that are on it. I'm going to take that around and give it to all the 4th grade teachers and let them work with their kids on it a little bit before I give the test. And but this toolkit looked very in-depth.
Yeah, and it is free. I put it on the Padlet too, so it's on there as well. So I'll be sharing that link with you, so you all will have access to that and my PowerPoint as well. So that's really was a neat resource. Thank you for sharing that, Kim. Anytime you all see anything like that you would think would be really good for our network, our GT teachers and coordinators to have access to, please make sure you email those, and I'll include them in the presentation, and I'll put them on the Padlet too. GT district highlights. This was something we started last year, which I really enjoy hearing what's going on in some of the districts. And the only one I had gotten back from, and this is just on if you want to share, because you all are doing a lot of really neat things. I think that you don't give yourselves credit enough for just providing our students with some different opportunities. So, I know just different things that are going on, and when I find out about them, I will be asking you all to share about them. So let me just say that's one thing I will be doing. Breathitt County, Elizabeth, do you want to share? I have two slides for you. One for the Ted Weiss that you had. Are you still with me?
I am.
Awesome. Do you want to share about this? And then I've got another slide for like what Jennifer was talking about. There was something like that at Moorhead. And I'm but with the Idea Festival, right?
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you share on your slides and you just talk about these two experiences that you had.
Well, if anyone has the opportunity to have him come to the schools, he's excellent. He actually did 2 programs for me. He did a morning session and an afternoon session, and the students were engaged. I mean, for high school level, they were he was good. He was very good. It was definitely worth the money. It did cost, I think it was like $2,500. So, but it was well worth the money. Actually, we had to do it in the lunchroom, and the lunchroom ladies were sitting there, and they said, "We want him to come to like our end of the school event." So,
Oh, cool.
the adults were enjoying him also. He just kept them really engaged and kept them motivated, and it was just a really good program.
Okay. Now, did you do this just for your GT students? Like, how did you
Yes.
pick who got to come? Like,
I did it for all the high school and middle school GT students.
Okay, awesome.
And
Alright.
they really enjoyed it. The only thing he suggested the next time, because where we had it at the cafeteria, a lot of the kids would, I have a test, and so they'd leave, and then some would come back and leave. He said next time maybe have it on a off-campus place where they're there and they don't leave. And I said, well, I would have prepared better. I should have of telling them, ask the teachers, to let them make up the test later. Because, it's a lot of money just to have them come in for just a little bit and then back and forth. And so it was okay, but I will do things a little different next year.
Well, to me, that's a wonderful thing for us to learn from you too, is like, how would you make it a better experience? So maybe having it someplace where they're not in their building to where they can go back to their class.
Right. Or
Okay.
like say, and then some of them just, I'll talk to the teachers and make sure that they can make it up later or whatever.
Right. Understand. Awesome. And I also want to say congratulations, Elizabeth. You got, what was it? The through the innovation.
Through what?
I saw you on one of the listservs. Your name was on one of them, right?
Oh, is it the Go Teach?
Go Teach.
Yes.
That's the one. Sorry, I should have looked
Kentucky
it up.
ambassador. That's okay.
Congratulations. You'll have to share with us some things on that in some of our future meetings too, if you don't care.
I will.
Okay, and then here is your Moorhead State, your ideas. Okay.
The Idea Festival. And the lady, Kim Sumner, you went to that with us, didn't you? You were there, sat at our table.
Right.
It was the speakers, they had, I think it was like 4 speakers. And honestly, for me, 2 of them was better than the other. I really enjoyed and actually would like 2 of them to come to the district and speak to other students. And then they had the afternoon where they could go to different things like STEM. And then they had a simulation of like in the medical field. I forget what different things, 3D printers, just all sorts of things. Or printer. I don't know if it's 3D, but they like print stickers. We were late leaving because one of my students was trying to print some kind of sticker, and I'm like, we don't have time for that.
It was a large maker space is what they called it.
I couldn't think of what it was called. Thank you.
And my students absolutely loved it. They said, when are you going to schedule something else? And it was really good. They loved all the speakers. They were very, I had one particular student talked about the Miss America wheelchair or something like that. She was in a wheelchair and she was an entrepreneur. and she was giving a speech, talking to them about her disability and how she went on to become a entrepreneur, but wasn't very successful in it. She did add that.
Yeah.
And I will say one more thing. They did offer scholarships, so we didn't have to pay for it. Was supposed to be $10 a student, and they they were supposed to. I don't know if they've done it yet for sure, but they were supposed to help pay for our bus. So it ended up being free for us, and they provided
Awesome.
lunch. So it was a really good opportunity. I just missed because they said scholarships were available, so I just messaged them and asked them, and they said yeah. So they helped us with
Awesome.
everything. So it ended up being free for us.
My biggest
Awesome.
surprise of the whole thing was that it's been going on as a yearly thing, and that was the first time I'd ever heard about it.
Ah.
It's
Same
a
here. I didn't know anything either.
it's a
Mhm.
yearly event.
I kind of wonder if they've been in working with WKU where the other one was, and if they've started having it. Because I'm like you, I wasn't familiar with it either.
Well, it was through that KDEC, is that it?
KEDC,
Yeah,
they
that
worked with Morehead State, is my understanding. I think it's the universities that are usually doing it. And then KEDC partnered with them. But in Western Kentucky, the one that Jennifer was talking about, that's something that's just doing with the university. So I'm going to check with maybe some of our local universities, like maybe UPike, and see if, this might be something they would want to do. Um, Not sure if Alice Lloyd or any of our community colleges that are closer to some of you all, but I don't care to kind of start asking around and saying, hey, are you aware of this? Or is this something that they're doing? Because if these have been going on a while, um, are there other things going on like this? Would be my question that maybe we don't know about. I could see the Challenger Center even getting involved with some of this, couldn't you all?
they were
Yes.
there. They had their representatives there.
Okay. So I
And
might
it was a good opportunity too. I would be great if like I know some of my other students, not just ninth and 10th grade, they were like, oh,
Mhm.
we don't get to go. And they were
Mhm.
kind of bummed out they didn't get to go.
Gotcha. Okay. So that might be something we can kind of talk to some of just making sure they realize what's being available.
And I can tell you another thing though.
What
It was mainly just a big advertisement for the Craft Academy.
is that really what it was?
That's what it was. It was just trying to encourage kids, and it was just like it showcased the academy because they were the ones doing it. The students were the ones in charge, of all the everything going on, but it was
Gotcha.
promoting the Craft Academy is what it was,
Mhm.
ultimately.
Gotcha. All righty. That's what I was gathering from it, and I'm gonna bet that the one in Western Kentucky is promoting the Gatton Academy, is what it's gonna be doing too. So I may start asking some questions, because sometimes when you ask questions, interesting things happen. Of some, because I could see like with UPike, they've got that medical school and the optometry school, and would that not be a cool thing for them to do something like that was really medically focused? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying. But very neat thing. Thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth, these items that you have, because to me, just letting people know so that they can get involved and realize that these things are going on, I think is really, sorry kids have these experiences, I think is a great thing. Is there anybody else have anything to share? Because Elizabeth was the only one that sent me pictures. Does anybody else have anything you want to share? How do you get information about it? Well, Morehead's is already passed, and I went on KEDC's site and was looking at it, and where it's already passed, I don't think they'll have another one till next fall. So I'll make sure if I see anything that I'll drop it on the Padlet and make sure you all are aware. But we do know the Western Kentucky one is coming in February, right? Isn't that the date she gave? Is it in February? And that's a little bit of a track for you all to have to travel to. but I think they do it one time a year at the schools. I could be wrong, but kind of gets kids interested, like Kim said, in the Craft Academy, and the other one would be the Gatton. So that might be something. It's on the website. I can tell you it's on the WKU website for the other one. And this one was on the Moorhead website. I might reach out to Moorhead and just see about them making sure to get us some information. And maybe they would want to partner with our region too, on maybe one of the satellite campuses or something, because they have a satellite campus in Prestonsburg, right?
There
It's a
was
little,
also one of those presenters that wanted to come to the school. She was really anxious to go out and visit schools.
which one was she? What was she with?
Let me think. Everything you remember, Elizabeth. Her table was set up with a lot of pink. It was called SpaceX, I think. I've got all the stuff somewhere.
I can't remember what her name was.
I've got it
Okay.
stuffed over here somewhere. I'll send it out to you in an email. But
Okay.
she come and handed me a big bunch of stuff and said, "I want to come to your school." So she might be someone we could, you could reach out and invite.
That's to me, and that's part of what this network is us just trying to gather things and making sure everybody's aware of what is out there,
She
and
focused
is available.
on girls and girls in STEM.
Okay, so she's focused on girls, because we do know that that's a thing, isn't it? Making sure that we get girls involved in the science and the math and engineering. Does anybody else have anything to share? But Kathy, on that WKU website, they do have information for the Idea Fest in Western Kentucky, but I'll look and see if I can find anything else. I reaching out and asking some questions is always a good thing. I think you'll look okay. All righty. Next, just want to make sure, let me drop these in the chat. The last month meeting, all of those, I always try to put the links to everything for you all in the participant folder. So like the Holler guys, I have their PowerPoint presentation. It's in the folder for you. Different things that you can utilize them for. They are really great. If you haven't got them in your schools, they're really handy. Also, let's see, just making sure that you have these things too. I'll put these in. I'm going to pull up the Padlet so that we can take a look. Can everybody see it? Can you see it, Kim?
Yes.
Okay. There's a link to the folder. Your new GT coordinator training available at the One Stop, making sure you have access to that. That STEM research grant, I will remove that, but that was just, I left it there to remind you. I am adding things as I see that are very appropriate for you all. I put them in the grants. So I'll just delete that one because that one's passed. That was the one that she was talking about that had passed. That was the grant had went by. Here's some different grants that you all, the next due date September 15th, but there's another due date. So that's a good grant that you might could apply for to get some money for some different programs. The Kentucky Arts Council Tawashi STEM Project, based learning grants for teachers, grades 6 through 12, multiple due dates throughout the year. So just wanting to make sure that you're aware that I do have that on there. And if there's anything else that you are aware of that would be good for people to know about as far as some different grant opportunities, some differentiation, instructional strategies, opportunities for students. There's more information on that U.S. presidential. It's due October 27th. The Super Saturdays, the Young Women in Science, STLP. A lot of you all are involved with that. There's the UK. It's February 24th. So making sure, and then just making sure, I may reach out to the Challenger Center and ask them to present for us too of things. Governor School for the Arts application. Those applications are due January 14th, and that's the timeline. And then just some different important dates. This John Hopkins Engineering Innovation Opportunities, they have some things online that are available that the kids can apply for and do. So I have different things on there. Just Odyssey of the Mind. Some of you, Apple Shop has some opportunities for some of our different kids. And then there's the WKU, the Center for Gifted Studies. Do want to remind you of some professional learning for yourselves. November 10th is the KISTI Fall Workshop. A lot of people are more interested in the spring one, which is the one it even says there is March 13th through the 15th. There's the toolkit that Kim had shared with us, so I have it on there. Gauge, this is why we don't meet in February. That's February 26th and 27th. So if you are able to attend that, that's a great thing for you professionally. And then also there's professional learning with the Challenger Learning Center. The World Conference was the 5th, 6th, and 12th. I'm leaving it on there because I'm trying to find, like, is there something else there that to make sure that you're all aware of. There's their website. But these are a lot of times things I get from what Kathy has, and then training for the Torrance test if you're interested in that, and then social emotional. So just making sure you're aware of that website. Topics for the next meeting, I do think maybe me reaching out with the Craft Academy and the Gatton Academy, getting them, but that also makes me wonder, I didn't know if you all would want to meet November the 27th, because that's the day after Thanksgiving break when you come back. I am more than happy to meet that day and pull and get Gatton and Craft and ask them to be online to share. If you all would like to do that, let me know, because I can go ahead and be working, because usually where it's virtual, they're pretty good about trying to meet with us, and it's kind of a nice, easy format where we're not having to travel someplace to get to meet with them. But if you all want me to put the November date in there, we will meet in November and have Gatton, because we won't meet in December. Because we're not meeting on Christmas. I love y'all, but no, we're not gonna meet on Christmas. I love you, but no. Y'all need to be with families, and I need to be with mine. January we'll meet. We won't meet in February because of the Gauge conference, but March, we may choose not to meet in April, but I've got it on there. But if you all would like for me, because Wyatt you'll be you'll be recovering from turkey and Black Friday shopping like fella. See, that's why I was thinking, Christy. I was thinking that Monday might be a little hard on us to come back. But the only thing that makes me nervous is that would be a good time to meet with Gatton and Craft for us to have it, or I can just have them come in January. I could schedule them for the January meeting, which works too. The applications are due in February though. So you could meet in November. Okay. Let's just do November. Let me work on getting a Gatton representative, a Craft representative. And if you can't be there, at least we'll have it recorded. So I will fix this slide. I'm going to go ahead and fix it right now, because I kept the day open on my calendar. I didn't schedule anything else because I got to thinking, what if something came up? And I'm going to put after it, I'm going to work on getting Gatton and Craft representatives, because you all are the perfect group for them to talk to. And if you can't make it, if you're in Turkey coma, I'm good. Black Friday coma, because you've been shopping. But we'll go ahead and meet, and if nothing else, we'll have it recorded for everybody to be able to be. But once again, it'll be 10 to 12, our normal meeting time, and we'll let them be able to share. I almost wonder if I should have like Gatton first for the first 30 minutes, and then let the Craft lady come on the second 30 minutes to kind of separate them. Not saying anything, but that might be good. But like schedule Gatton from 10 to 10:30, and then the Craft Academy from 10:30 to 11. That
Can
way
I
we've
say
got.
something? I'm
You
sorry to
sure can.
interrupt.
You talk. That's what this is for, Kim.
Do we even need to hear from someone from the Gatton Academy? because that's all the way in Bowling Green, and I have no students that travel that far or would travel that far during the summer. But the Craft Academy, they're the same thing. They're the
Well,
same school kind of.
they are and they're not. I did have
Mhm.
students attend the Gatton
Oh,
Academy.
really?
There were,
Okay.
yeah, in
I
my
was just,
district, we had, let's see, in my past, I guess I've had 6 or 7 students go to Gatton.
oh, well,
Uh,
really?
yeah, currently from the
They
district
have
I'm,
all these fun summer activities like Scampy and all that stuff,
yeah,
but it's so far away and so costly for students around here.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Now there was last summer, last spring, there were scholarships for kids to be able to attend those. So let's make sure we watch for those again.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. That might be
We
a
had those.
possibility.
I had the application on the Padlet so that it was there so that you could. But that was something they were providing funding, like they could apply. It was near. I think the application was released from Gage after the Gage conference. It was mentioned, and so we can um, uh, make sure that we watch for those and that we, especially for our region, because you're right, Kim, it's a heavy burden as far as financially, and a lot of our kids may not want to go that far, and I agree. So I'll have craft first. How's that sound? We'll put craft academy first, and then Gatton second, because I agree with you. I think the majority of our students would be more interested in but I don't want to not expose them to Gatton because what if? Because if you have kids compete in math counts and you're getting to go to the state competition, Gatton's there. They have kids there with their research projects that are lined up and sharing with the math counts kids who, typically are that 7th and 8th grade to kind of spark some interest for them. At least they were whenever I went with a group of kids. They would have the Gatton kids there to kind of show their research, what they were doing, which were some pretty cool projects, I'll have to admit. But we'll meet then. We may wind up then not meeting in April is what we might do since we brought November in. But if we need to, we'll meet. But we'll do that. All right, I've got that fixed. I haven't dropped the PowerPoint in yet for the because of me making changes like this. That is it for our meeting. So let me go ahead and give you the link so that you can fill out and go ahead and leave it for 2 hours because I have our meeting set for 2 hours. I know I'm letting you go a little early, so yay. That's not always the case, I know. When you fill out the feedback survey, you should get an email from kvec.training. If you do not see it, check your junk, and if you don't get it, let me know and I'll send it to you. But it already has the title of the meeting filled in for you, name of presenter, the ELA number's already in there for you. You just need to go through and fill out the empty fields that doesn't have the information in it. Hopefully. But does anybody have anything else that you will do? I will go ahead right after this meeting and email the Gatton person and the craft person and see if they can meet on the November date. And if they are good, I will send you all a calendar invite and just say in there Craft and Gatton, and I'll send an email saying to all the GT coordinators so that you all can get that in there. I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else? And Elizabeth, you're going to be sharing with us some of the Go Teach, right? That's what it's called.
Yes, Go Teach Kentucky. I will get
You
all my information together.
you
We just
will
had our
you will.
first meeting the other day, so
Well, I think it's just us good for people to learn from you to see if it's something they want to apply for next year
okay.
when
Yeah.
it comes up again. So I just kind of want to, if you don't care and if they're all right with you sharing, just letting you have like a little sharing spot of what is going on, what's involved with it, and just, you know, the learning that you're getting to experience. That's kind of finding out from you and hopefully getting some other people interested in applying.
All right. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll
All
have it
righty. So
ready and I'll send it to you when I get it
perfect.
together.
What I will do is I'll have a slide for you and just let you talk at the next meeting too, if that's okay. We'll kind of just let that be if it's appropriate. Now, if it's not appropriate, you just say, "Mary, not good to share this time." That's okay. Won't hurt my feelings.
No,
But just
well,
want to.
I'm good.
Okay, perfect,
All right.
awesome.
Thanks.
But if anybody needs anything, just let us know. Remember, Tip Kentucky, the website. Going in, they even have a template letter for you to be able to use. That was something I was worried about for you all, about making sure that you all have the resources. So going to that, and they've got like a teacher toolkit for the 7th and the 8th grade. I know that was something a lot of us were really familiar with for years with Duke Tip. Really made me sad when that closed down, but I'm so glad that they have taken the initiative to have us still have that as an opportunity for our kids. But you all have a wonderful Monday. And if there's anything I can do, let me know. And if there's any great experiences out there you're aware of, please share and we'll make sure we get it out to everybody. But you all have a great day.